Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Effective Digital Tactics to Get More Results from Your Business. In today's webinar, you will find out how to reach and engage with your customers at all points of the sales process, and you will learn effective digital marketing tactics to help you get better results and drive your website traffic through the conversion funnel. Today's speaker is Jarrah Borman. Jarrah is one of Zeal's senior digital business strategists based in Tauranga. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience across many industries and is super passionate about digitalizing SMEs. I know that what Jarrah has to share today will give you some great tools to help you get more from your online business. There are just a couple of quick housekeeping points to cover for the benefit of those who perhaps haven't joined us previously. If you can't hear anything, please check the audio settings on the bottom left toolbar. At any point, feel free to post questions using the Q&A button. We will save these until later. However, please feel free to post them as we go, as they may make sense to bring them up during the segment. Once we get to the Q&A section, you can participate by either putting your hand up to ask the question or just posting them for me to read. If you would like to go back to this webinar or to share it or to watch previous webinars, we do record all of these and they can be found on our website and YouTube. We will also send you a link to today's webinar later. I would now like to hand over to Jarrah for his presentation on effective digital tactics to get more from your business. Welcome, Jarrah.
Cool. Atamaria, good morning. Thank you for that introduction, Helen. So yes, today we will be talking about effective digital marketing tactics to get some results or more results for your business. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to cover some key digital marketing tactics. We'll be looking at search, social, display, email, nurturing, product syndication, and retargeting. The key here is to look at what each tactic does and when it should be applied. We'll give you some insight into where you should be focusing your efforts and attention to get the best return on investment. So that's essentially what we're here for today. We'll try not to get too far into the detail of each of the individual tactics, more around how they should be applied and when to use them. And then we'll have a look at what's working and what's not as well, or how you can understand that at least. Right. So this is a really good model here to kind of look through and understand what digital marketing can do for you. There's a huge array of digital marketing services that you can access and use, and it can be really daunting to kind of understand exactly what you should be using at any given time. Ultimately, you are trying to encourage and guide users through a buying process. So it's quite helpful to understand it in the context of a funnel. And as people interact with your marketing and your brand, they will work their way down this funnel and get closer and closer until they convert or buy. So we generally start with stimulative advertising. So this is if you want to raise awareness of your products and services. This is really important if you've got a new product that people are not aware of, they're possibly not actively looking for it, and you need to let them know that it's available so that they can then start to consider whether or not they want to buy it. And so at this stage, the stimulative stage, you'll be looking at primarily display tactics and social tactics. You'll look at Facebook, Google Display, YouTube, etc. This is where you can get some information in front of your audience and let them know about this new product and service. Then you've got an engagement stage, and this is where maybe people are aware of your product, but you want to try and nurture their interest. And so often you'll do this through content marketing, through email marketing. People will have had some experience with your product or service, or product or service with other businesses, and you want to nurture their interest and engage them over time so that they then choose you when they want to buy. This engagement process is especially important if you have a higher purchase price, something that requires a longer sales cycle that people will consider over time before they buy. Directive advertising is where a lot of people will start, right? And this is where you really want to probably put a lot of your efforts in initially. This is where you connect with potential customers that are actively searching for your products and services. So this is where search comes into its own. Someone that's looking for your product and service will probably do so on Google, and so you want to be making sure that you appear when they start searching, because that person has really high intent to buy, and you want to make sure that you connect with them as quickly as possible. We'll talk about that in more detail later. Then you've got the evaluation stage. So people have made the decision to buy, and they're probably just doing a last minute check around, right, who's got the best price, who's the best person to buy from. And it's at this stage where you want to make sure that you are appearing in as many places as people will do that research. Product syndication can help here a lot. This is where you sync your product sets off into different places where people will evaluate prices, like Google Shopping, marketplaces, etc. And then the final stage that we'll talk through today is around conversion. This is where you turn that intent to buy into key business outcomes like sales or leads, and you influence this through the process of conversion optimization. This is where you're improving your websites, the information that it shows on different pages, and what we call landing pages as well, which are designed to really get some good traction in this space. So let's look at each of these stages and dive into them a little bit more around what tactics that you can apply. But ultimately, this model will give you some sense of where you need to focus your efforts based on whether or not people know your product and how they're interacting with you. So display advertising or stimulative advertising, these are forms of advertising designed to help you connect with customers across a range of different websites online. It's a very, very common advertising tool, and it helps you boost awareness of your product, your service, or your offers. The most basic form of these are just text and images, but often people will use videos as well to make them more engaging. So Google has one of the biggest display networks in the world. It's the Google Display Network, and it's found under the Google Ads platform. But there are plenty of other social media platforms that allow you to run display ads. In fact, all the social networks allow you to do that. And it's actually one of the most effective ways to engage people with a specific message and get a result out of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. These display ads are highly targeted and very personalized because they can be targeted to different people based on where they are in that buying journey. So you might start out with some stimulative display advertising to get awareness grown, but you could also use it for remarketing down the track and things where people are in those final evaluation stages. So there's just there's some examples here. You've probably seen these types of ads pop up. These are just the automated ads that Google will create for you based on some imagery, some text, can actually even auto-generate them based on just having a look at a page that you want to send traffic to. Often you will actually go a step further with these and create some nice looking designs for those display ads, and that will help improve your conversion as well. So these can show on a variety of different websites, as I said, on social media platforms as well. But playing display ads like this on website pages is one of the primary ways that website owners will commercialize the traffic they have through to their website. So you'll see this a lot on news sites like Stuff and NZME. New Zealand Herald. They will actually have these sort of ads available. But about 93% of websites around the world will have banner space for display ads that you can book through Google. So ultimately, it's not about the site that you have your display ads on. It's more about which customers you'd like to reach and what message you'd like to give them. And so ensuring your targeting is really clear there is very important. But once again, what is it used for? It's about getting your brand awareness higher. It's about getting maybe a special offer out to people and getting traffic through to your website. So when people click on these ads, they go through to your website, and they can be run on a pay-per-click basis as well. So each of the impressions that you get, or the number of times that your ads are served, you don't pay for those. You only pay when someone responds to the ad and clicks through to your website. This is a great starting point for helping release products and making people more aware of your products and services. And then towards the end of the buying process as well, can be very helpful there too, to help make people actually make that purchase if they've already shown intent to buy. Social stimulative, so yeah, using social media platforms as a stimulative advertising tool is very helpful as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, all of these social channels, they provide the ability for you to run display ads on their network. They come up as sponsored posts, and these can be done on a pay-per-click basis, which is a great way to go to get some good awareness and coverage going. They help validate your brand. It is really important for retail and service businesses. They're looking at these sort of advertising platforms because they can target based on a geographical area, and it can be very much targeted specifically at your core customer demographic as well. So it's essential for customers that are looking to reach a specific customer set and encourage them to consider that business or that product or service. helps maximize profits for the organization, and can help create a long-term relationship with customers. It is quite low cost to run display advertising. The traffic that you get out of that platform is quite cheap, or across those platforms can be quite cheap. And so it's a good way to get lots of reach and also lots of cheap traffic through to your website and awareness. It also encourages people to experience your products and services going through to your website. One of the things that's quite important to do with stimulative advertising is to have multiple conversion processes from it. So you might be encouraging people to buy a product, for example, but because the traffic is cheaper and people are still just starting out in their buying process, they may not be ready to buy straight away. So a very good strategy out of the stimulative work is to have a secondary conversion process that may not be someone purchasing or reaching out to as a lead to buy from you straight away. If you're a service-based business, you might like to collect their email address with a lead magnet or some sort of valuable piece of content that allows you to then nurture their interest over time. Stimulative advertising is at the top of the funnel, so there's usually a high volume of it, but they're not ready to buy right now. As an example, if you had an e-commerce site, your average conversion rate from e-commerce a good conversion rate from e-commerce is about 3%, which means for every 100 people that visit your site, 97 of them won't be ready to buy right now. So what are you doing to serve those 97 people? Would you having some sort of way for them to engage with you, to provide their contact details in return for something valuable is really, really powerful and allows you to then move into a nurturing phase with that organization or that person. And so having stimulative advertising running with that secondary type of conversion through to maybe a newsletter, email newsletter is really powerful. Helps you take people through into this next stage, which is around nurturing their interest. I've already indicated that there's some interest in your product or service by visiting your website, and you've collected their email address through maybe a lead magnet or some other valuable piece of content. Now you want to communicate with that person and encourage them to come back and buy and just build the value for your product. So email marketing is one of the most effective and cheapest tools for nurturing leads, and it's something that we highly recommend people do. If you're running an e-commerce business or any type of business online for that matter, email marketing is one of the most powerful tools that you can have. And the most successful customers I work with have a very robust email marketing program where they'll send out at least once a month, sometimes more often than that. One thing we have noticed is that emails can be, the simpler the better with emails, in fact. A more conversational tone without so much design and images actually gets a better result in terms of open rates and engagement. It's because that's how you normally get emails. You normally get just a text-based email from people and you communicate often in that mode. And so a text-based email that comes out from a business is actually more engaging and actually sometimes gets a better result than something you put a lot of polish and effort into with imagery. And that's just something we've seen happen quite often with a number of campaigns that we've run. These emails should be designed to help you gain your customers' attention and build trust. And as I said, ultimately, you're trying to nurture their interest in your product and service so that they will buy in the future. You can use it to acquire feedback from customers. And yeah, ultimately, the goal here is to take people that are prospects or potential customers and turn them into customers with the information that you send them. So it's used to help build relationships with customers. It's really good for staying top of mind and provide personalized content to customers. So you can segment your email database. So as soon as you get over maybe 1,000 people in your database, you might want to start working out what segments or groups they fall under and then providing targeted content to each of them. It's important that you're not trying to do a hard sell with emails. If you do send out promotional emails with specific offers, mix it up with something with some content that's really valuable. You want people to see your emails coming through and see them as engaging and something they want to look at, and a hard sell on them can sometimes have the opposite effect and get more unsubscribes. So provide relevant and valuable content to people with this particular tactic, and keep the messaging as personal as possible, but always have that call to action there as well so that people can take advantage of an offer or take the next step and move down that buying funnel into one of the next stages. So now we get to search. This is one of the most powerful tools and has been for a long time within the digital marketing sphere. This is where people are actively looking for your products and services using Google. Google in New Zealand is the most dominant search engine by some margin. It takes up about 93% of all searches. That's not true right around the world. In fact, in the US, Google only accounts for about 65% of searches. So it's very, very dominant here in New Zealand, and it is the go-to for most people who are in buying mode. You'll know this yourself. If you want something, you'll often do a search for it on Google. You'll look for a what and a where and maybe some other detail as well. But people that are in that mode, that buying mode, that are searching, you really want to get in front of them, because they're likely to make a decision much more quickly than people at other stages. And so there are a couple of ways that you can show in a search result. You could use Google Ads, or you could use search engine optimization to build organic ranking. And so this is a really smart approach to marketing and getting your brand out there, but it's primarily a conversion process. So you're looking for someone that's about to buy, getting in front of them and trying to get them through to your site to buy. So capturing this traffic can generate much more sales, leads, and revenue than the traffic you would get out of display advertising. It's likely to cost a little bit more from a Google Ads point of view, but for the most part, it can actually provide more sales, because this is people down the bottom of the buying funnel and ready to buy. It's considered the low-hanging fruit. So what's it used for? As I said, connecting with potential customers who are actively searching for your products and services, and it leverages the power of these search engines to boost high quality traffic to your site. The goal here is not to just get as much traffic as possible, it's to get traffic from people doing searches that have a high intent to buy your product and service. And it also increases visibility. So we've got a search result here. You've got your Google Ads up the top. You've got your Google My Business listings here appearing organically. And then there's actually your websites that can show as well. So search is actually a bit more complicated than most people realize. There's actually 3 different search engines running on any given search result page. There's your Google Ads, there's the Google My Business, and then there's also your organic listings for websites. And so it's important to understand the difference between those, but ultimately today what we're talking about is just what is the tactic that's appearing in search and when should we be using it, which we've just covered. So product syndication. So this is becoming more common and is something that technology has really unlocked. It's the ability to take your product set and sync it with other platforms that allow people that are doing product evaluation to see your product alongside others. So when you sell a product in this way, what you're doing is you're taking your product set from your website and you're syncing it through to maybe Google, through to Facebook, and we've got a list of other places you can go there. You can go Instagram, Amazon. Yeah, there's plenty of other places that you can sync it. This is something that's been done extensively within the tourism industry with accommodation. Accommodation and experiences often sync through to marketplaces where you can buy plenty of booking. Different websites and things like that have had their inventory synced in that way. It's becoming much more common for businesses that sell products to do this as well. Syncing your product set to Google is a really good place to start with product syndication, because that allows you to run Google shopping ads where your product image, name, your store name and your price show directly in a search result page. So that's really powerful. When people have made a decision to buy a product, they will often do the next level of research, which is what are the prices that this is available at, and who can I buy the specific product I've decided on from. So it's important that if you've helped facilitate that sale or that decision to make a product purchase, that you're then in these different places where people are making an evaluation on who they should buy from. So this is a bit more technical, and so will often require some help and support from a website developer or digital marketer to make sure that your product set syncs correctly. And there are a number of tools that can help you do that. So it's used for ensuring that customers get current, accurate product information when they need it. I know that personally, when I've decided to buy a product, I'll then do the search and I'll look through the Google Shopping Network to see who's able to provide that product to me, what price, and where are they based as well. So this allows you to also potentially meet new customers who may have decided to buy that product based on interacting with another business, and then they're in this evaluation stage. So you may be able to disrupt a competitor's buying process and bring customers through to you, especially if you're cost competitive. So this type of process often requires automated integration, automated syndication, I should say. This reduces the effort and the number of errors that you'll have. There are a number of different tools you can use to do that, like Google Merchant Center has a free listing system. We've got a mesh integration tool that we've built at Zealed that helps with product syndication. There are a number of marketplaces that help sync it through, and Pimcore is another option as well. So creating this sort of omni-channel experience is a great way to go if you're a bit more advanced, and helps you essentially close more sales because you're talking to people right in that evaluation stage in the buying process. And then the last stage here is conversion, right? So someone's maybe they've evaluated products, they've clicked on your Google Shopping ad as an example, they're through onto your website, and they're looking at the final product and about to make a conversion or make a purchase, or even just an inquiry if you're a leads-based business as well. So these landing pages, or the pages that you send traffic to, are incredibly important. They need to answer people's questions. They need to build enough trust and credibility that people will take that next step. And they also need to reduce risk as well. So people need to feel safe in that process. That's often what will upset that final stage or that final conversion, is whether if someone arrives on your website and just doesn't quite trust what's there and feels like it's a little bit risky to purchase. That often is one of the barriers here. Ultimately, when people are looking at a website page and they're about to make a purchase, they've got a decision making matrix in their head that kind of looks like scales. You've got to build enough trust and reduce enough risk. And as soon as you can tip that scale, that intent to buy tends to turn into action. So you need to have your unique selling proposition, the why people should buy from you. You need to explain your products and services in enough detail that customers feel comfortable. And then you have that call to action, which is add to cart or inquire or something along those lines. And so this is just some more examples of like sales landing pages. These are designed specifically to persuade customers to make that final purchase. And it's important that these are really clean and easy to navigate, because that usability is a key part of Google's website ranking algorithm as well. And you want to make sure that you've got a dedicated space to answer your clients' questions and remove those doubts. Often little FAQ sections on landing pages are very, very important, and they just help dispel those last doubts that people have and aid that conversion process. So often people will get to that point, they're about to make a purchase, they'll get distracted, or they'll just not quite now. Maybe we'll take a little bit of a break, we'll go and do something else. These people can be tracked, and so they've looked at your product page or their service page, and then they've left to go do something else. It's really critical we don't lose track of those people. And so this is where retargeting comes in. This is where you're essentially looping people back into the sales process and getting them back into that maybe evaluation or conversion stage. So as I said before, 97% of consumers visit a website but don't actually make a purchase. So this is a way to loop people back and keep reminding them about your product or service. In fact, if you're using your product syndication tool, you can actually retarget people based on the product they were looking at, because you can sync your product set into something like Facebook, for example, and then the retargeting system will allow you to run ads for the product they were looking at as well. So retargeting can work in conjunction with product syndication as well. These are paid marketing efforts. So this is using display systems to play ads for people when they're looking at other websites and encourage them to come back. It can be done on Google Ads as a great place to do this. Facebook does it very well, and it also does that product remarketing, what's called dynamic product remarketing, as I mentioned before. But you're able to do retargeting across a range of different sites using display platforms. A strong retargeting strategy will help you essentially maximize your return on website visitors. And you often want to promote your best sellers, your new releases, or even if it's retargeting like this, you might want to offer people a conversion or a discount or something like that to get them back and help close the deal. So you can target people that visit specific pages on your website. You can use it retargeting to even target existing customers, potentially from your email database that you've got. You could use that as a targeting method. And it's primarily used for getting your brand in front of potential customers that have already interacted with you in some way. They've visited your website, they've signed up for a newsletter, there is some intent to buy, there's some engagement already. And so these are a really good group to promote offers to, because they've already shown that they're interested. And so how do we apply these tactics to your business? We could group these a little more into like attract. And so if you want to attract more people, you could do content marketing. We could do that email marketing. We can do search, either on a search engine optimization or pay-per-click basis. Or we could use social media. And so if we're looking to attract people, which is essentially stimulate and engage them, then that's what we'd look to do. If you want to convert people, which is really critical, then you might want to have some downloadable content offers for ebooks and webinars. This will get them through into an email marketing system. You'll want to offer those things in exchange for some contact details. And so that's one type of conversion that you might be wanting to go through. You could do your lead nurturing to then follow up from that and actually convert them into a customer. You definitely want compelling videos here just to help showcase your product or service effectively and help encourage that conversion. Closing. So the closing out leads is a really good, obviously what you want to do. And so there's lots of data and tools that you can use to help people close. And so you can do this by optimizing your content, understanding the data, the way that people are interacting with your website or a specific page, and then adjusting the content to improve the conversion rate or the close rate. You can build links from thought leaders as well to help build trust and credibility. It's critical that you're monitoring and measuring things around close rates and how things are people are interacting with pages on your website. You want to analyze the traffic and conversion, and critical here is just adjusting the on-page call to action and looking to try and make sure that that's the most obvious thing on the page, it's encouraging people to do it, and seeing when it works and when it doesn't. That sort of measurement is really, really critical for helping improve your close rate. And yeah, so there's just some ideas on when to use those different services. Now, if you're running all of these sort of things, it's really critical that you're not just setting, forgetting. You need to be gathering data around what's working and what's not, because what you get from deploying any of the tactics we've covered today will not be the same sort of result that you'll get over time, or necessarily the sort of result that you deserve. When you launch these sort of things, you've got to get into an iterative process. You've got to launch it, you've got to measure it, and you've got to improve it. The very best people, or the most successful people using digital marketing tactics, are those that are monitoring, have set really clear KPIs, and are adjusting their campaigns over time to improve things. Not all of those adjustments will improve things. Some of them will have a negative impact, but if you're measuring them, you'll know what's working and what's not, and will be able to constantly tune towards better results. So effective marketing solutions are data-driven solutions. You want to gather as much data from your customers as they go through that buying process, so you can make good decisions. You want to get some good data from Google. You get good data from Google Analytics or from social platforms using Facebook's Pixel, for example. And those insights will allow you to get better at engaging with your customers. Also getting maybe some survey information from customers will help you better determine how to sell to them and how to refine your marketing tactics. It's important to set key performance indicators from any of your marketing initiatives. This will determine how well each of the different stages in your campaigns are performing. And we've got some examples of some KPIs that you should be looking to track, but some that really matter are your conversions, your clicks through to your website. Your return on ad spend is probably the most critical one. That's one that I think is the most important. That determines how much you're making for every dollar spent on a particular advertising channel. Cost per acquisition is good to measure as well, and click-through rate is also really important too. So if you were to set some KPIs for any kind of digital marketing campaign or tactics that you were looking to employ, you'd have some sales KPIs, which would be the number of qualified leads that you'd generated, or the total conversions, the conversion rate, and the average purchase value. Engagement KPIs would be a little bit further up the funnel. That would be how much traffic are you generating, how many clicks are you getting through to your website, how many impressions or how many people see the content that you have on social media, how many people have liked that content, and how many comments have you got as well. So that tells you how you're working from an engagement point of view. Spending KPIs, if you're running digital marketing campaigns that have a budget associated with them, you want to know is how much is it costing you for each lead that you generate? What is it costing you for each conversion that you generate? What is it costing you for every acquisition of a new customer? Those figures can be combined into a return on ad spend figure, which allows you to determine for every dollar you spent on a channel, how many dollars did you get in return. That's essentially the holy grail of the spending KPIs, is to get to that return on ad spend figure. Then just from a visibility point of view, you might want to have some KPIs around how much organic traffic are you generating? How much natural traffic from Google search results are you getting? What's the click-through rate that you're achieving? What's the bounce rate? This could determine whether or not the information you have on your website is answering people's questions or engaging with people, whether or not they arrive and leave straight away or stay and browse the rest of the site. Average session duration is also really important too. How long do people stay on your site? So reviewing your performance is really important. You want to make sure that you've set those KPIs, you've measured them, and then you're reviewing them on a regular basis. That will help you determine what's working. And if you find a combination of a digital marketing tactic and website information that is working and that is performing really well, you want to actually focus your efforts there and try and scale that as much as possible. That's where really good results come from. And if you find something that's not working based on those KPIs, then obviously either iterate it or remove it and try something else. So you want to review those key areas of your campaign and conduct tests. You're either winning when it comes to digital marketing, or you're learning. And so make sure that you've set things up correctly so that when you're running these campaigns, that you're thinking about them as a test and you're learning from them, even if you aren't able to win specifically. That sort of process will help you make sure that over time you definitely win. And you want to tweak and improve your campaigns to generate better results for your business. But you can't do that without some good data as well. And yeah, that's our presentation for today. So keen to hear any questions you might have and help you with any specifics that you might have too.
Lovely, thanks, Jara. So there are a number of key takeaways from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of those last ones at the end was really important, about either you're winning or you're learning, to remember those two key outcomes from somebody's website, and also keeping those call to actions nice and clear. So also there are a number of key tactics which can be employed to improve your online business results and profitability. And the conversion funnel starts with raising awareness of your product or offering, the right audience, and concludes with an intent, either sales or lead generation. So if I have nothing in place now, where should I start with my marketing?
Okay, so I like to start. Yeah, so if you've got nothing in place at the moment, then probably the best place to start is to determine whether or not people know about your product or service. If they already are aware and there's a need for your product or service, then you might want to start with something directive. So you might want to start with something search orientated, where people are actively looking for your product and service, and you could start in that space. If people are not aware of your product or service, if it's new or there's some kind of education that needs to go on before people could start buying, then I would probably start with something that's more stimulative. So that's probably the first place to start, is just to determine, do people know your product or service, or do they not? And that'll help determine whether you start with a stimulative tactic or a directive.
Cool, thank you. And how do I know how much time or money I should be investing in getting my marketing underway? Is there a scale or a ratio, or does it develop over time?
So you're going to want to get the basics in place, and so you need to have some sort of website and a way for people to interact with you. How much you spend on that really is kind of a reflection of how much you can make back. So it's different for every business, and it's based on essentially how much money they can make out of selling the product or service that they've got. The greater your margins and the greater your product prices, then potentially the more you probably want to invest in it, because it's going to have a longer buying cycle and there's more elements that need to be in place. If you've got a very small widget that you're selling that's got a very small cost per sale, then you want to be doing some nice, simple, low cost tactics that get you some really good scale in there. But it's different for every business. So I couldn't just go, hey, you need to spend $300 or $30,000. It really comes down to the individual and the requirements there. And yeah, starting slow and steady is always good too. So.
Cool. I'm just going to share my screen again. So let's recap what Jara has covered today.
We've got a couple of questions there actually.
One is just if we.
Yeah, do you mind if we just? I'll grab that one from Tony. Do you have a printed version of this? I'm very much an older learner. Well, yeah, we can send you through a copy of the presentation. And we've also got a hand up from Faith as well, who may have a question if she wants to push that through into the Q&A while Helen's doing the overview. We can always loop back to that as well. Love to answer your question if you've got one, Faith.
Okay.
And we got another one there from Rajan. What are the best marketing practices for a law firm? Okay, so for a law firm, you're probably going to want to look at building huge amounts of trust and credibility. So you're going to need lots of case studies and testimonials on your website, and then you're going to be wanting to do some stimulative advertising based on getting people through to that and building that trust and credibility, and then having a simple conversion process. So for a law firm, you're probably going to want quite a lot of content work to help educate people around what they need to know to buy from you or purchase your services. And so, yeah, a highly content-driven website would be very beneficial for a legal practice. That would allow you to connect with people when they're searching for very specific aspects of law. They could come in, they could read some of the information that you published on your website, give them some understanding of the situation, and then an encouragement to connect with you directly and take things further. So I think that trust and credibility piece is really critical for a law firm. And where possible, you're going to be wanting to give away content and some of your knowledge in exchange for contact details. Hopefully that's a short little strategy in a very small base of time for a law firm. Happy to talk further about that if you need it. And yeah.
Cool. There's also another one from Faith. Kia ora, great presentation. Re-stimulative personalized ads, the Google ads in the first slide. Can you explain this more? Is this how our website appears in searches?
It's a great question. So there's actually two different things there. Now, Google Ads refers to a number of different products and services that Google has available. You've got Google Ads, you've got search, you've got Google Shopping, and you've also got Google Display. Now, stimulative advertising would be the Google Display component. Now, that is not how you appear in a search result. That is how display ads appear on a range of other websites. Yeah, it's important. Google Ads search is how your website appears in Google, like the ads at the top of a Google search result, and that is you run a campaign and it's on a pay-per-click basis. How your website appears naturally in search results is governed by search engine optimization or SEO, but the stimulative Google Ads piece we're talking about is the display ads, and that's different again.
Cool.
Hopefully that answers that question okay.
I'll just wait for a minute if there's any other questions, because there's some really, interesting ones there. Oh, Faith said thank you. All good. Alrighty.
Cool.
All right, I'll just share my screen again.
Rajan said, is there any better tech than SEO? So to appear in search results, I'm guessing is the basis for that question. So if you want to appear in search results straight away, you want to be using Google Ads. If you want to appear naturally in search results, you want to be using SEO. SEO is the term for that whole discipline. There are hundreds of things you can do to influence SEO. And so the best thing to do with an SEO is to have a really clear strategy and then work through some of those items. SEO is not something you just do, tick off, and you're done and you don't have to worry about it again. SEO is an ongoing program of work designed to improve your credibility in Google's eyes and improve your ranking as a result. So SEO is a discipline, it's not a tech, but there are a lot of tactics and techniques within SEO that you can use to appear higher. Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I don't think there's much that you don't know about the digital marketing and online space there, Jared.
Oh, there's heaps. I only, you kind of know enough, and then you realize how much you've still got to learn. One of those things. It's a pretty massive topic. But anyway, hopefully what I have learned and shared today helps a little bit.
I just saw one. Oh no, there was a thank you. Cool. All right. So what we know, whether you want to generate sales or leads, where your customers are in the conversion funnel will determine the best tactic to use. Opportunity. Review and refine your tactics in order to provide value at each stage of the conversion funnel. And a recommendation, measure and monitor content, analyze traffic conversions. You can't manage what you can't measure.
Very cool.
Zeld has helped over 15,000 businesses transform digitally over the last 20 years. If you would like support setting up marketing, automation, or even getting an idea around potential digital strategy for your business, then please get in touch. We provide free strategy sessions and audits with our team of experienced digital business strategists. If you would like a strategy session, please provide this feedback in the survey after the webinar. Our Get E-commerce Movement initiative is available to all small to medium-sized businesses who need to get online. We're offering free website builds for e-commerce, service and charity businesses with a no sale, no fee hosting arrangement for the first 12 months. If you'd like to know more or know someone who could benefit from a free website build, please visit our website zeal.com for more information. And our next webinar is on the 16th of June, again at 10 a.m. This is with Rhonda, where she will be explaining the importance and goals of conducting a mid-year digital marketing review. So a special thanks to our presenter today, Jared Borman. We appreciate your extensive knowledge and insights. And if you missed part of the webinar or would like to see it again, we will be posting a video of this webinar to our YouTube channel. And if you know anyone that might benefit from attending these in the future, please feel free to share the link to register. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you here next week.
Everyone.
Ka kite.